Okay, let me introduce you now to our speaker today, who is Professor Jay Vora. And let me give a brief idea. He has already been associated with Boarding Pass for Success earlier as well, and we welcome him today again. So, Dr. Jay Vora is currently working as an assistant professor in Mechanical Engineering Department of PDPU Gandhinagar. Although he is a technical individual, but now he's a proud urban farmer. As an after effect of COVID, he realized that in future we all will have to shift to smart techniques of farming for meeting the world's ever-growing food needs. He did an extensive research on the hydroponics technique and now is on a mission to empower students and individuals to grasp this technology and explore a new world full of opportunities and good health in various ways. So, while saying that, I welcome you, Professor Jay Vora, and we really appreciate you sparing your time to provide us with all these details. And yeah, once again, welcome.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Khushboo. I hope I am visible as well as audible.
Perfectly, yes. We would just like to get a thumbs up from the audience whether we all are audible, and also Professor Jay Vora is audible as well. Okay, we are getting thumbs up, and yes, okay, awesome. Yes, we both are audible. So, yes, Joy sir, you can continue your presentation.
Fine. So, very good evening to all the viewers over here and spending very nice and a very cold, I can say, Saturday evening with us. Uh, we'll make our all the efforts to make this evening very memorable for you because here we won't be discussing anything technical, right? We will be discussing those core aspects, or we'll be discussing a very niche technology, which can be relatable to each and everyone listening or hearing to us. Be it a student, be it a budding entrepreneur, be it a housewife, be it maybe some working professional. I will try to make my presentation so much generalized that you will be able to relate yourself with the technology. And then at the last, you please stay tuned so that I have a few roadmap ahead for you. You may consider it as a task, or you may consider as one of the door which will open to a lot of opportunities. I personally believe a lot in this technology, and I came into contact with this technology during the COVID time, or maybe prior to COVID time, but during the COVID and after the COVID, there was some indication that this technology will come up in a huge way. Right now, when initially we hear about farming, right, we generally have a general notion that it is not for the engineer, right? Like farming is something related to agriculture, it's something related to non-technical in one of the perspective, right? But when I went deep into this technique, I found that the major role, or I can say the 99% of the role in this technique is just for the engineers. Right, so I thought there are a lot of seminars which are happening around of hydroponics and in different capacities, done by the agriculture universities, done by the consultants, done by many people who are active within the technique or who are the pioneers of this technique. But I didn't find any seminar which was just touching upon the role of an engineer. Right, there was no seminar which was happening on what can be the perspective of a common man with this technique. If you want to go into a commercial growing, if you want to be a commercial farmer, there are a lot of ways in which you can do that. There are a lot of agencies, lot of consultants, lot of people who will help you out, right? But if me as an engineer, if you as an engineer want to dive into this technology and want to contribute into the nation's building, right, as well as the personal health of you as well as your family, what is the way in which we can do that? So primarily, I will be discussing more about it. The technology in a way is a very huge and a vast technology, and a lot of engineering branches take part into this technique. However, the heart of this technique is agronomy, right? So even though I would say that agronomy is a major part, but we have a very major role to play. Right? So my discussion would be more focused on a generalized way, or on a way in which we as an engineer can perceive this technology, rather than speaking up as an agronomist that what are the different aspects of farming, what is the different aspects of growing. We have separate modules for them, but for this session, I will limit myself to that. Right. So let me take you through this entire presentation, and in between the presentation also, if you have any doubt, then you can just write in the live chat, and we will answer at the last. So let us start. I will start with the motivation. As soon as this seminar was announced, one thing which I get on messages as well as call, or somebody who meets me personally, that why you are a mechanical engineer, you are well within your research area, you are teaching students, right? Then why suddenly a shift to farming, right? So one, as I told you, when we hear the word farming, then it is basically our mind is set that it is something related to village, something related to green, something related to fields, right? But that is not the case, right? So that is why I will first share that what is the motivation, why an engineer, why a PhD holder in mechanical, right, doing a hardcore research has plunged into this field, right? So let me share you my motivation. We all know that food shortage is likely to happen, right? We come across a variety of years, right? For example, somebody would say, yeah, up to 2030, there will be a shortage of food. Some would even say that the third world war will be something around, will be revolving around the food, right? Some would say that up to 2050, all the resources will be burnt up, and we will be left with no food to eat, right? And that is a reality that is likely to happen, because the pace, the rate at which we are growing, the entire world population is growing, is very drastic, right? That is the first motivation. Second motivation, COVID. The biggest motivation for me, as well as the biggest motivation which you will be about, which you will be able to relate with yourself, right? COVID, in a way, basically was, according to me, nature's way to teach us something, right? It was a God's way to teach us something, right? So what the COVID taught us, first was that immunity is the key, right? So up to now, we were very much hesitant to eat good food, to exercise, to build our immunity, right? We were very lazy because nothing was happening to us, right? We were only subjected to normal diseases like maybe a cold or a cough, right? So we were very much ignorant about our immunity. But as soon as the COVID started, right, and even though we are waiting for the vaccine to happen, but the thumb rule or the key to you being safe is just your immunity, right? Second thing, we also came across several news wherein a majority of the businesses, majority of the working persons, majority of the entire business fraternity took a hit, right? Be it a travel industry, be it a say you can say catering industry, be it entertainment industry. So all those industries took a huge, you can say, hit in this COVID. Right? We heard about many things wherein the jobs were lost, the businesses were shut down. Right? So second important thing which COVID taught us was that you should never depend on a single income source. Right? You need to do something so that there is always an extra source, or you are through with the challenge that if something happens to your primary source, you will be ready with your second source, right? Because the sustainability, the survivability is the prime important thing for each and every individual on this planet, right? So that is the second thing which was taught. Now, if I summarize these teachings, or if I summarize in a way, then there is only one way out, that is we should eat fresh and nutritious food, right? Now, it is a very generic thing, right? That means I'm not telling something rocket science, right? Even if I tell you that what you should eat, you will always say, yes, we should eat fresh and nutritious, right? But I would like to ask you whether you are doing so, and whether whatever vegetables you are buying from the market, right, whether you are ordering it online, or you are getting it from some retail shop, whether it is fresh and nutritious, your answer would be yes, right? Because they are green in color, they are fresh, and they have the taste, they have the texture, right? But that is not the case, right? If you talk about current scenario, right, the current scenario of traditional farming is that there is an excessive use of water, right? When we talk about farming, then the heart of the farming is water. You might have heard that due to excessive water or say deficiency in water, many of the crops were burnt, many of the crops were failed, right? So that is the first thing. And we as an India, or say we as a planet itself, right? Water is one thing. When I say water, it is a fresh potable water, right? So water, when we say, then it is one of the rare things which we have in our planet, right? So we should preserve it. Now, traditional farming uses an extensive water resources for the growing. And that is the first thing. That is the current scenario. Second important scenario, for a farmer to grow a crop is a huge challenge. We never really appreciate it being on the consumer side, but if you go across a village and if you go through, if you talk to any of the farmer, you will feel the pain he has. You will feel that what is the amount of cycle he has to go, what is the amount of you can say uncertainty existing in his you can say farming, right? Now, to encounter that, to increase its yield and to keep his crops safe, there is no other way but he has to use pesticide. Right? The pesticide may be natural, may be synthetic, right? It may be anything, but in an open field, right, the pest attack or the problems due to the external factors are inevitable. You have to use the pesticide. Right? There is no other you can say option to that. Right? We recently heard about that there was some group of insects which came from, I think, Pakistan or somewhere there, and then all the fields were wiped out. Right? The teed, what we say in Gujarati or Hindi, right? Now we don't have any other thing. Means the farmers were helpless, right? They have no, I can say, shield against that, right? Third important thing for the current scenario, the climate change, right? We often experience that when in the afternoon there is scorching heat and evening we have showers, rain showers, right? We often experience that we have a very cold morning, but in the afternoon there is scorching heat, right? The sun. So basically the climate change is also now taking its toll, and these plants or your crops are directly related to climate, right? If they don't get the required temperature, if they don't get the required humidity, if they don't get the right atmosphere, they will never flourish, right? Even if they will flourish, but they won't have the same amount of nutrition or same amount of freshness, right? Fine. When I said that whether the food which you are getting, whether it is fresh, right, and your answer to your concerns would be yes, right. But if we see the entire scenario or entire, I can say the route by which the food comes to you is that the farmer over here grows the food, that it is collected over to collection centers at the mandis. Uh, Khushboo, just a minute. I am getting some disturbance over here.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, there was, I think, some glitch in the internet.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can
So
continue.
basically, when we talk about our current scenario or current food chain, right? Then the farmer produces the crops. Then it is collected over at the village mandis, right? Then it is given to a wholesale distributor, right? That wholesale distributor is one person who will collect from these village mandis from different villages and will collect over near to the city or maybe within the city. He will distribute it to the retailers, right? The retailers are the normal, you can say, people having their cards which who come to our societies, and then it reaches to the customer, right? So we are at the fag end of our of the food chain, right? And the farmers are on the another end, right? Now, given that there is no traceability by which we can trace that from where our food is coming, right? So basically what you are consuming is not known, right? That where it is grown, how it is grown, who has grown it, right? How it has reached up to you, right? So there is no traceability in that terms. So the partial answer to all this is hydroponics, right? Now, what exactly do we mean by hydroponics? I am sure that those who are attending have might have googled it when they heard this word, or somebody might have a prior knowledge to this when they came across it. right? So basically, when you talk about hydroponics, then hydroponics is a combination of two words, that is hydro and ponics, right? Hydro, we know that hydro is meant for water, and ponics is made to work, right? Or a labor in another terms. So in all, when you talk about hydroponics, is basically when you make water to work for you, you make water to grow crops for you, right? We take several work from water, like in jet engines, or say in many of the turbines we use water a lot to even generate electricity, right? But when you use that water, right, to grow crops, right, that is where the term hydroponics was coined, right? So first and foremost thing about the technique you should be very clear is that it is an entirely soilless method, right? Now that again comes a very huge shocker for us, that farming is equal to soil, right? When I say that farming is related to you can say farming is related to water, farming is related to farmer, right? Then the farmer or water, everything is related to soil. But hydroponics is one technique which is entirely soilless, right? We grow the crops not in soil but only in water, right? When we say water, then the water is again not stagnant. Water is a recirculating water, right? The water in motion, because water when it is in stagnant, it will create a lot of problems like algae and all, right? But when you have a water in motion, water may be recirculating, or which not stagnant, then that water is used within this hydroponics, right? Third thing, when you give the plants exact amount of time, exact amount of nutrition at exact time, and as and when required. So basically a concept of mechanical as well as industrial engineering, that is just in time, right? So when you can give optimum amount of time, or in another way optimum amount of resources to the optimum part in at optimum time, right, that becomes a just in time. So in hydroponics, right, the growth is excellent for the plants, because we give plants exact amount of nutrition mixed in the water at the exact amount of time during their growth stages, right? When they are on in seedling, when they are sapling, and then they are a full grown plant, right? And then at exactly part, that is a root, we directly give water to the roots where exactly that nutrition is required, right? So that is what we do in hydroponics, right? Another thing which we basically do in hydroponics is that we have a very controlled environment, right? Because when we have a controlled environment, the crops can flourish very high, they are rich in nutrition, they are healthy to eat, right? And this control environment is set up in various ways, which I will be discussing in the coming slides, right? So that this hydroponics becomes one of the technique which can encounter all the difficulties of the traditional farming, right? Next, when we talk about hydroponics, or when we talk about soilless, right, then there are basically n number of different methods within this soilless also, right? Here, due to the given time, I will be discussing those techniques which are very much used or very much heard of, right? Where the base behind all this technique is, again I am repeating, it is a soilless technique, right? So when we talk about the left and topmost side, that is a deep water culture, right? The deep water culture technique is a technique of hydroponics wherein a sort of aquarium sort of structure is there, and if you see over here, the roots are dipped in the water. When the roots are dipped in the